now, Republican governor of Michigan, Governor Rick Snyder. This show just doesn't stop.
It's Dr. J
to Dr. J to
the Gov. I want to talk about the Republican Party, but first I want to talk about Detroit. We went there, and obviously a lot of great challenges in Detroit, but what's happening with Ford and UAW working together to save that company, and what's happening in downtown Detroit is actually exciting.
It's very exciting, and that's one of the messages I hope people recognize when they hear about bankruptcy, that there are two takeaways I really ask people to think about. First of all, the bankruptcy is a solution. It's not a new problem. We're solving 6 years of problems in Detroit. And the second piece, as you said, Joe, was Detroit's comeback's already been going on for several years. There's been $12 billion of private investment in terms of billions of dollars going into the city.
Think about that. I want to underline that really quickly. $12 billion. People investing in Detroit. Yeah. Because they believe.
12,000 jobs have moved in the city.
Wow.
In terms of young people, there's 98% occupancy in Midtown and downtown Detroit. Young people can't find housing, and these are young professionals moving in the city. So there's a lot of great things going on, and that happened in spite of the municipal government having these issues. So if you think about the great value opportunity that's going to exist, because we are going to turn the situation around and have the city providing good services, it's going to be a value place in the globe to invest.
It really is. We're excited. We're going to head back there. And we apologize for cheering for the Red Sox for about a week or so. I will tell you,
congratulations,
the Tigers.
Aren't you nuts?
The Tigers, amazing. I mean, they're pitching amazing. I mean, I would not want to be Scherzer in the offseason. I'd be an angry, angry man.
All right.
Well, it's a great team. We're back. We got the Wings coming. We got the Lions going. We're doing well.
It's exciting. So let's talk about this past week. What's your takeaway from the elections for the Republican Party?
Well, what I'd say is it shows there's challenges in our country, and everyone knows that. There's nothing new out of all this. I describe it, there's a broken political culture at the national level. And all you have to do is look and see when they're doing press conferences 2 miles apart instead of getting in a room and solving the problems. And the place to look are the governors and some of the leaders of the city. That's where innovation's going on in the states.
Is the governors the place to look, too, in terms of what might emerge in the Republican Party or what might be wrong with the Republican Party?
Yeah, because if you look at the national level, there are 3 key issues that stand out among the top ones. One being just doing a budget, let alone balancing a budget. The second one being the national debt question, and the third one, tax reform. In Michigan, we've done all 3 of those. We've done them effectively. They're working well. If you look across the country, there are other states that have done these things.
I'm talking about Chris Christie versus Ken Cuccinelli. What's the lesson there? Or do you not see one?
Well, again, those are 2 separate states, and Chris Christie's done a great job in New Jersey. Chris is a good guy. But I'm not going to draw conclusions on all that. But if you look at it, the governors in the states, Chris has done a good job. If the governors are standing out as the place for innovation in our country.
So on the Cuccinelli side, well, I got to say on the Cuccinelli, let me just say really quickly though, on Ken Cuccinelli, there are so many different factors. Something that everybody thought was going to be clean-cut, Donnie. Early election night, here's a right-wing nut job. He's going to lose by 10 points. This is the end of this wing of the Republican Party.
You said all week. I was here all week before. It was going to be...
It's going to be a lot closer than everybody said.
That's my point.
And there's so many variables. Cuccinelli could have won if Republicans would have given me money.
That's it. Cuccinelli is basically saying, look, you guys should get behind me. I lost by 3 points. So what do we learn here? Do we run from the Tea Party, or do we embrace it? Because if you look at the Cuccinelli argument, it's like, whoa, there was a winning ticket there.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, I take a totally different approach. I don't view it as running to or from anyone. I view it as solving problems. What the American people, what most people are looking for is they're not looking for politicians fighting with one another. In Michigan, I call it relentless positive action. I don't worry about the politics as much as simply saying, here's a problem, here are the facts, here's some common sense, let's solve the problem and be relentless in solving one problem after the other, and it works. Michigan's the comeback state. We've taken that approach, and citizens don't want to hear about politicians arguing. They just simply want a better outcome. Balanced budget, pay down debt, put in a better tax system.
Can you explain then, though, the pragmatism gap? Like, what happens? Obviously, governors, as you said, they have to balance their budgets. They don't have the luxury of shutting down the government and not paying their bills. It's against most states' constitutions. But what happens to Republicans when they come to Washington and think it's a good use of their time to shut down the very government that's supposed to be solving problems, that's supposed to be helping people?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't generalize, because, again, there's a lot of good Republicans that just want to get things solved. So you can't put it in one context.
But they lost this last debate. So I don't want to generalize either, but the Republicans that want to solve problems, they lost this last power.
The way I describe it, I don't view it as one party's responsible for all this. I think there is this broken culture of people believing that fighting is more important than solving problems. And that's something that we as citizens need to say we lowered the bar too far. We need to raise that bar back up and expect better accountability out of our public officials. I was never in public office until I did this. And I think that tremendous value to say I don't have that baggage because I was previously there just to solve problems. That's the kind of attitude we need. More people in the private sector to get in the public sector.
I think you're exactly right. You know, it's interesting. Yesterday, Bob Costa interviewed people on Cuccinelli's campaign. Oh. And you know what we found out, because we're talking about they didn't get the money. You know who they're blaming, according to Bob Costa, great reporter for the National Review?
Who?
They're blaming the shutdown Republicans in Washington. They said
if could have talked about Obamacare.
Said if their plan was to start talking about Obamacare 2 weeks earlier than they did, and when they had this shutdown strategy, said it blew up the Cuccinelli campaign's plan for the closing month. And I think they're exactly right.
I totally agree.
If they had not taken on this strategy that we all said was going to fail, then Ken Cuccinelli would be governor right now.
That is correct. Right. I don't disagree. Governor Rick Snyder, thank you so much.
We're coming back to Detroit. We love it.
I'm looking forward to that.
Pistons are looking better also.
Pistons are improving.